When we first found out about it, that there was any problem at all, you know, typically in every pregnancy you have an anatomy scan. At 20 weeks, you go in for your ultrasound and check on the baby, and they check every organ. So we went in for our scan. We had just found out she was a girl like 4 weeks before. And the scan went on for about 10 minutes, and I could tell that the tech was really focused around her tailbone area, and my heart just sank. The tech was so sweet and calmed us down, and then she brought the midwife in, and they just basically said, this is a really serious situation, we can't give you a diagnosis. But a week passed, we went to the high-risk doctor here in Jackson. He confirmed that it was spina bifida. So spina bifida, the best way to help people understand is it's a neural tube defect, which means that it's connected to the central nervous system. So when you conceive a baby, the first thing that forms is the spinal column in the brain, the central nervous system. So if there is a defect along that system, in her case, there was a defect along her spine, it basically just meant that her spine didn't form all the way. It's essentially a hole along her spine, which they call a lesion. She's surrounded by amniotic fluid in the womb, and the amniotic fluid gets into that hole and can damage the nerves that are sitting there along the spinal column. You just have to pray that, you know, the least amount of nerves get affected. And so the outcome will just vary. They actually call it the snowflake defect, because two children can have the exact same lesion location with two totally different outcomes, because it just depends on like how much skin is growing around the lesion. And in her case, she actually had a lot of skin that was growing around the lesion in the opening, which I think protected a lot of her nerves. When she was born, it was obviously the most exciting day of our life, but it was also very hard, because I had always pictured my birth, you know, like what it was going to look like, and I didn't get that. I really had to just kind of grieve that. So, you know, I had the C-section, and they whisked her away because she had swallowed some amniotic fluid, so they had to get her into the NICU immediately. And they would have had to anyways, just to keep her safe, because she had an opening on one of the most important parts of your body. And then the next day, she had surgery on her spine to repair her spine. It was very hard at first, if I'm being totally honest. It took a lot out of both of us, but the more that we grew, the more that she grew, and we got to know her, it's like those fears start to slowly fade away. And, you know, once she started through like early intervention services through Therapy and Learning Center, and meeting Emma, and that just brought so much light that I needed, that I didn't know I needed. And I think a lot of it too is like when you're in denial about it, and these people help you to accept what you're in denial about, you know, and make you realize it's going to be okay. So the good thing to me about early intervention services is, of course, they're like helping me just to even know how to be a mom to a child. Like, I tell Emma, I'm like, you're really my therapist too, like along with Elin, because she came along when Elin was 2 months old. But I think Emma just like, she also helped Elin in the sense that, you know, like as Elin got older, Elin knew when it was time to work and to get pushed a little bit when Emma would come over. And I feel like that kind of like went ahead and set the foundation for like, okay, when these people come around, we're gonna have fun, but we're gonna work too. When she started physical therapy at the Therapy and Learning Center with Melissa, she started around 8 months. And it's just been pretty shocking, truthfully, to see the progress she's made. Melissa's just been really, really helpful in pushing me. She pushes Elin, obviously, but she pushes me in like how to challenge her, because sometimes I'm not sure, like how much can I push her, how much can I ask of her, and she's been very, very helpful in guiding me with those kinds of things. And so everything from helping her to sit up in her bed, just so she can sit there and play when she wants to walking independently. You know, that was not something we knew when we would see it. I can remember thinking that she might walk independently when she's 3, I'm not sure. But then Melissa got her in that walker around 18 months, and at first she kind of just sat and hung out in it. But then, you know, when we were on the lockdown, I just worked with her like Melissa told me to, the way Melissa told me to, and She was zooming around in it within a month's time. I give so much credit to her learning how to walk independently, not only to Melissa, her physical therapist, but also the daycare center here. So she started, maybe it was the beginning of June, and she was just walking in that walker at that time, and they had the walker set up and they knew how to deal with her braces. But I remember a month after she had been here, I walked in one afternoon and they were like, "Mama, you better come see this," and she was taking these steps. The cutest thing is when we'd practice at home with her, we knew she could do it. She'd take a few steps and fall, and she'd just get right back up. Honestly, you don't really realize what you have until you start to see the things that the center has done for us, or at least in our case, that's how I have felt. Even having worked here, you don't understand it until you need the services. And the Therapy and Learning Center has been nothing but accommodating for every single need that we've had, whether it's her diet or her walker or her braces or anything medical. Truly, every time I walk out of this place, I thank God for it, because I just feel total comfort leaving her here.
So Liz and I are so thankful for the Therapy and Learning Center, because every time we bring Elin through the doors, we're so grateful for the teachers and the therapists that she can work with here. And we're also very thankful to have a center like this in Jackson, Tennessee, because in most big cities you'd have this, but here in Jackson, and they're taking care of 2,000 plus children and kids. It's just, we're very fortunate and thankful.